we're back with another episode of the Reality Of podcast. I'm obviously Jake, this is Neil.
And today it's the reality of Callum Wright, who is our guest.
Hi guys.
Hi Callum.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you in our little cosy corner. So, for those people who might not have seen you at many jams or have only seen you in videos, just to give us a little intro to you and what you do. Talk about yourself.
Oh,
go for it.
Oh, what I do? What with reality first?
Well,
yeah?
no, just you in general. We want to know about you.
Well, I jump on things. That's something we all do.
That's a given.
Outside of team reality, I'm a professional gamer. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
What, like, you got good stats on Fortnite, that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, not as good as all.
Are you good at COD Zombies or?
No, I'm pretty good at COD Zombies. Now I work for a company called MINDJAM, and we offer mentorship through gaming and game development for like emotional problems, children with autism, ADHD and things like that. So I'm kind of just like their grown-up buddy that can be someone they can chat to.
Oh, that's pretty cool. How did you get into that kind of thing then?
Oh, I used to work at Cafe Nero's. Solely to fuel my addiction.
To coffee?
Oh, yes, to caffeine. And social interaction. I love talking to people. And one of our regulars, she worked for MINDJAM, come in one day, told me she was a gamer. I was like, how'd you get a job at her? She told me. And from there she just thought I was the kind of character that'd be good at it. And been doing that for about 4.5 months now.
Cool.
So yeah, it's going really well.
Cool.
And other than that, I'm a student at uni at the minute, 3rd year, which is intense. And I study philosophy, so
wow.
I can't put
so
down
probably
the
biggest brain in the room right now then.
Or it's, maybe on some topics.
It's just really good at having arguments.
That's it.
Yeah, is that what philosophy majors are about?
Completely all about that. Literally all we do is argue with each other nicely. But you also find when you understand logic, it's really easy to put somebody in a corner. You like back them into their own reasoning, and then they don't. It's not. You don't have many friends if you do that, so I don't recommend doing that. But you can.
Oh well, God, you don't. Well, I hope you don't manipulate us into making certain decisions.
I really try not.
Maybe that's
to.
how he got in the team.
Maybe.
He's just
yes.
Just done his wizardry.
No, he was actually related to an old member of the team. I think that's what his in of the team was.
Just
shout out to Dale Snook.
It's just in the blood, yeah. All lank as well. Yeah. When I first found out about parkour, it was Dale showed me videos of you two in Dubai with Urban Free Flow. So.
Oh wow, Dubai's cream. That's the unspoken film that no one will see.
It's not on the internet anymore, is it?
No, but I do have a copy.
You do?
I do.
Wow, I've not seen that in years.
Yeah, we may have to have a private viewing of that
Keep
one
that
day.
safe.
Yeah, definitely. That is hidden on a hard drive somewhere. So obviously you said like your Dale being your kind of intro into parkour. With that being a family member, how was you kind of thrust into that like zone of movement and parkour as such?
Oh, so I saw him doing it. It was mainly with like Kenzie. I'd see that he'd not so much babysit me. I was like really young teen at the time. But yeah, it'd show me videos and stuff of him with like Urban Free Flow with you guys. Videos you'd made. That's where I first knew of it. And then a couple years later, secondary school, I met Jack Burkett. And he knew about the classes you guys were doing.
Yeah.
I think there was this is very early on, like you guys were just starting up. And he said, do you want to come along? And I lived in the sticks. I lived way further away from Grimsby than he did. And I never got the opportunity to come to a session back then. I may have come to one at Arena Airsoft. Whilst I was like
one of our first ever venues of coaching.
Exactly, yeah. When I was really like early on in knowing about parkour, and other than that, I didn't really get the opportunity. So me and Berkey used to just get told off by our dinner ladies all the time, like climbing on the music room roof, like doing parkour at school, yeah. And there was an app called Parkour Pro, and me, Ty, and Berkey had that, and it's like had loads of like level tricks. You can't get it anymore. It's gutting, but it's like all the tricks from like a side vault and up to like things that just aren't names of tricks, like lemming.
A lemming?
A lemming, yeah.
A lemming? What is even a lemming?
Do you just step off a building?
Yeah. Right, gone.
I don't know now. It's just like a layout gainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, but you call it a lemming, yeah. So add that to a lexicon.
A weird name of a trick, that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and so that was at the time, and then as like school was ending, Fix and Kicks existed.
Yeah,
and
want to shout out to one of our old venues,
and we started coming along to that, and it seemed like a really fast act. So I'd come to more arena airsoft between that, but that's like at the end of school.
Yeah.
So I've been jumping around for a couple of years at that point, and then the hums just like proper put me off, and I come along to this, and I was like, find out about reality recruits, and I knew like Marcus Leaf, Brandon Connor, and I knew like Kaya Marsh, and people all like getting involved in this. And I was like, yeah, I was like, oh, cool, I want to get involved in some of that. And this is best shout out to Neil, best advice I ever got given. Told him I wanted to join reality recruits, and he kind of gave me like a little test. You know what I mean? I was like the only person doing little drills with him, and he was like, oh yeah, did a cat leap? I was like, oh, you won't be able to join reality recruits with a cat leap tech like that. I was like, oh, Neil.
Now, we spoke about this recently, Callum.
Yeah.
I have no recollection of this whatsoever. I've often been described by some close friends as being an elitist knobhead. So I think potentially that's what was playing out at that time. I do have high standards for myself, and obviously, especially back then, had very high standards for anyone in and around the team. These days, I'd probably been a bit softer with that. But I was quite aghast at that story. 10 years, probably 10 years on.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, yeah.
If you ask any of our students now, if we listed every single student we've got, bearing in mind we've got like over 100, I guarantee every single one of them will be petrified of you, because you're the bad cop. It's kind of like a very good cop, bad cop kind of coaching scenario, and Neil is always the bad cop every single time. I can see Jazz nodding his head in the background. Where there'd be times when there'd be old sessions where I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not going to be here next week, guys. It'll be Neil filming my spot," and then Neil will message me and be like, "Why is only like 2 kids in your sessions?" I was like, "Well, there's usually more than that." And then when I come back the week later, there'd be like back to 17, 20 kids, and it'd be like, "Oh, I think there's some parkour fear here." So,
well, just because I rule with an iron fist. Have rules that you then have to follow, otherwise 5-minute wall sit, then I don't really see the problem.
Yeah, I think that's a bit different nowadays.
I mean, there's different ways of leadership, isn't there? I think I learnt at college that the way I lead a session is called orthocratic, which is basically just another name for a dictatorship.
Oh yeah, a nice way of saying that. Yeah. I'm the coach that you walk all over. That's me. I'm the happy person.
Pretty loose.
Yeah, I'm miserable in my normal life, but then I come in with my CBeebies presenter kind of mode, and I'm just like, "Hey kids, we're doing some jumps today," and that's how I operate.
See, I can see your coaching style in Jazz. See, like last week, just me and Jazz who waiting for Neil to turn up. Jazz is trying to tell all the kids not to be climbing on stuff. They're completely ignoring him, being too rude to Jazz. Poor Jazz. I came in. I was like, I've got to be Neil now.
Yeah.
I've got to channel Neil. Big, stern, scary voice. Yeah. Well, everyone sat down. Yeah. Like, and I let them know.
About the scary voice.
I will let them sit on the bench for
deep
a setup.
Tones. You've got to hit that first memory of their dad telling them off. You've got to go there. You got if you trigger that inside a child sitting down straight away.
Yeah.
And then my role as a good coach is that I'm at the back of the queue, like being moral support and being like, he's not always like this. Yeah. He just never got Christmas growing up. Oh, do you know what I mean? It was kind of like... That's a story for another time. Yeah. But obviously, you mentioned about coaching. Yeah. Obviously, you've just done your level 1, which is kind of a great achievement. Shout out to Parkour UK for that as well. Yeah. But besides coaching and obviously training, is what kind of like role do you feel like you play within Team Reality?
I guess I'm some sort of like park designer. I mean, as much as I take away the role and I design the image, the 3D render of what it's going to look like. We do definitely all collaborate on an image there.
You make sense of the nonsense that me and Neil kind of like throw at you.
It's great because it's just like it's like ready, steady, cook. Come in, it's like Callum, you the red tomatoes, and it's like we need vaults, we need vaults and vault flow, we need things for small people, we need this and that. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and make a meal.
But you can't cover up the electric cupboard, so you've also got to not do that as well.
I spent way too many hours trying to figure out what do you put around the electric cupboard, because the last thing you want is little 8-year-old Jimmy jumping into an electric cupboard and getting fried in front of everyone.
We don't want that.
I don't think insurance covers that at all, does it?
No, I don't think it does. That's kind of one of those like zip them up inside the crash mat and never think about it again kind of scenarios.
Yeah. Have we got enough put away so we can just fly off to Gran Canaria, like get out of here?
Yeah. Disclaimer: we don't do that.
We're very responsible coaches.
I think we can. I think a lot of our students can vouch for how well we are, how good we are as coaches and things like that.
Apart from Jimmy, who's in the crash mat.
Apart from Jimmy, who's in the crash mat.
Is that why it's so firm?
Yeah, smelling a bit now.
Yeah. So obviously you spoke about builds. I know you was like the driving force behind the most recent build, the hexagon.
Yeah.
Which has had quite a lot of
Hexagons, mate.
Yeah,
Hexagons.
definitely.
Yeah, really want to break outside the 90-degree like grid we've got going so far, and hexagon made the most sense. It's a solid shape. It's nice and strong. Loads of angles into it. You think there's 6 ways into it? There's way more than that. We've all found that out. And it was just great as well because the jam. So we had 2 jams, didn't we, around Christmas? So the first one, like the last use of the old setup, the pre-trainer, and you see the way people's movements and like ideas were. And then the next jam we had, the one immediately after with the hexagon, people weren't just coming at the hexagon from different angles. It translated into the rest of the gym. It's kind of like a new like grid had opened up, and people's eyes kind of thought, oh yeah, I can go that way, because you'd link into something else and it'd take you out into a different way, which I thought was really cool.
And I think, you mentioned the sort of the bullet points that we required from the new build, and that was definitely one of them, was to be able to use your momentum from running at the front of the room and then transfer it into the rest of the building, which has always been, the block we had there before was always sort of a blockade that didn't allow movement to be continued to the middle island or to the tower or to the, over to the left of the gym. So it definitely ticked that box, and that's one of the biggest things I've enjoyed training this year. Is just the amount of lines and the momentum that you can carry on. I mean, some of those sort of figure of 8 lines that Jordan and Ben were doing in the first couple of jams that we had, I just thought were brilliant, because that's really, there was loads of great obstacles in the gym, but there was just that something was missing to be able to sort of stick it all together, and the hexagon really ticked all those boxes for me. So it's been, I think it's the crowning jewel of the reality gym for sure.
Yeah,
until the next build.
Well,
what could be next?
What could be next? But obviously, like you said about the creativity with movement, is there any kind of like moves that you prefer? Like, what's your favourite type of like parkour move?
Oh, I'm just built for dash prees, aren't I? Like that
That's
lank.
a fair shout. Should have known that answer, really.
Love that, yeah. And it's weird because I'll actually, if I'm doing like a Kong pre, I will do a dash pre first. I will look at that. I'll size it up with a dash. Which apparently is not the right way around of doing that.
That's not normal.
Yeah, that is definitely not normal. How many people out there have done a dash pre before they've Kong pre'd it? I think it's very low. Yeah. Very low.
Oh, just round the corner from the Parkour Pet, you come down the river and you turn into that little close.
Fresh and Drive.
Yeah, Fresh and Drive, yeah. So I've done the dash pre there. I don't think I've ever done the Kong pre. And I think it's like an 8 foot
it's
level.
It's level, and I know I'm not very tall, but it's like a chest-high wall as well. So it's like a Kong pre that you have to run at, and you can dash pre it, which is absurd.
It's funny because it started as a joke as well. It was like, oh, can I do this? And I bounced it, and I was like, oh, maybe you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd never done a level dash pre that big before. I've done things like you could reach across. And it just like opened up a whole new ballpark of that. I just love them. I just love the way they feel.
Yeah. Watch this space. Me and you were on a course in London this year.
Yeah, we are.
And I think you've spoke about potentially dash pre in IMAX 2.
That gives me butterflies.
Obviously, it's been done now, but
who done it?
I can't remember his name. Is it one of the 5th unit guys or Scruffy boys? One of them. I think.
Was it a stick? Though?
I don't know.
Atters.
It wasn't. There was a stick.
Someone listening knows.
We can find that, and I will find the dash pre. But yeah. So speaking of dash pre's, do you feel like that's a move that you kind of like gravitated towards because of your body type? Or were you inspired by like a certain person's parkour style?
Ooh.
There's not many dash preers out there, but is there someone's like style that you kind of like maybe take inspiration from, or like there's someone you gravitate towards when you're like wanting to be inspired by movement?
I'm really vast in who inspires me with movement. Josh and Keelan have both got awesome dash pre's, and
those high hips.
Yeah, that's it, exactly that. And I think I love the way they make them look. So I was like, oh yeah, gotta be honing that in. But yeah, when it comes to like movement, like I've always liked Philly D, Kai Willis. Like to be honest, goes back to the old video. I think it's just because they were the videos that I got shown before I even knew what parkour was.
Yeah.
I see these guys moving around, and I was like, it's just really clean, authentic movement, and I love all the funk of today's age. Toby was talking recently about how he could break parkour down to the fundamentals, like 10 moves, and that's all he's allowed to train for the rest of his life, and he'd still love it because that's what it's about for him. And I love that. And I think dash is a vault precision that we've just as a community kind of overlook. It's like, that's a gammy move, like we're just gonna do that, but it's like pretty like it's in everybody's repertoire of vaults. Like everyone uses them.
Well, you say that, but I'm not very dash heavy at all. I've done the good old go for the dash, miss your hands and land on your bum.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a lot of times.
In coaching sessions as well.
Yeah, I do not demo that move anymore. I just don't.
I would say, with Callum having some of the best leverages, long, high hips, long arms, perfect to be able to fold and then flick out of a dash, you've probably got the opposite going on.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you have both got relatively short legs, but your arms are particularly short as well, which doesn't...
Can't even touch my own shoulders. But that's why I'm pretty good at dive rolls, I like to think, or through rolls more than anything. So, not dive roll distances, but diving through a very small hole for a roll.
I mean, I think that's what's interesting about the melting pot of parkour. What you've just been sort of talking about with Callum is that you've got what your body type is going to be good at, but then you've also got what you are drawn to visually from other people, and then your style ends up being a meeting point somewhere between those. I mean, there's certainly been moves I'm like, oh, that looks brilliant, I really want to do that, and then when I try to go and do it, dash prees, sit dashes being one of them, it's like, oh, I'm really not good at that.
Yeah.
Which can be, it can be a bit deflating, but it doesn't mean that you won't do that, but it probably means you're going to gravitate towards things that are easier for you.
Yeah.
But that's the spice of training, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a question that I want to ask all of our guests on this podcast is on the subject of movement. What would be your parkour movement pet peeve? So that one thing that just niggles at you that people do. Not naming names or anything like that. Yeah. Is there a certain thing that kind of like really like, ooh, I hate that?
I love a stick. I don't think people can class themselves as having done a jump unless it's well controlled or stuck. So that gets to me. I don't like someone's like, yeah, well done, you've done that, and it's just like you crumbled afterwards. I'm like, you didn't do that. Yeah. And I see a lot of that recently where it's just referred to as
of that going on at IMAX recently.
Yeah, that send it mentality.
Yeah, exactly, send it culture. And I'm just like, I'm not a fan of that because I think it feels like it comes a little bit from skateboarding, but maybe misinterpreted from skateboarding because there's very few people that do just send things to skateboarding. If you do, you're just gonna pop a knee or an ankle or something like that. But like having to send something that you can do off a 3 stair, off a 10 stair, like there is a barrier of breaking that down as well. But
for sure, I mean, I think it comes from inexperienced athletes that are watching someone like Dom Tomato, and obviously he's right on the edge of his ability when he's doing certain things, and sometimes beyond. But it's not out of the realm of control or possibility that he will land it nicely. But then there's people with 2 or 3 years experience just legging themselves at IMAX Compre or something like that, and just annihilating themselves upon landing. And I think that's a lot of the time where it comes from. They're misinterpreting someone like Dom, thinking, oh, he just sends stuff, and it's like, no, actually, as much as it could look a bit like a controlled disaster, he is actually way more in control of the movement than you might think when you've been training for a couple of years, you know. And there's people up and down the country that seem to be emulating, whether it's Dom or other people in the community, and just being like, oh yeah, I'll just have a go, I'll just do it, you know, like, exactly like you say, it's that send it mentality, isn't it? Yeah. So that's your pet peeve then?
Yeah.
Is people just not controlling stuff, not sticking stuff, but then still putting it on the board.
Yeah.
Done that.
Tick.
Yeah. Done that.
So I think we've kind of had a little insight into you and thingy. Just to finish off, do you have any future aspirations within parkour, or just the bigger picture of the world? Might be too broad of a term, but like it could be something like movement based, like we mentioned about the Dash Pre at IMAX 2, or it could just be something a little bit more like it could be broader than that. Is there any like parkour aspirations for you?
I think I really enjoy bringing the sport to people. Yeah, like us having the gym and being able to like design builds for that. This is like something I always wanted in like my early years of doing parkour, and I'd see things like at the free run gym or like Tempest free running, and I remember seeing the Tempest free running academy. I was like, wow, that's sick. Imagine if something like that was here. If I could go to that, what does that open up? And I'm also really happy that I wasn't like a gym rat from the start. But at the same time, now we've got this like huge send it culture and things like that are happening. I'd rather people be doing that in a gym with a coach, where the coach can be like, hey, up, mate, just like maybe take it a couple steps back. So yeah, I really enjoy the bringing the opportunity to people, and just enhancing the opportunity for people to play. So we've I know we've spoke recently about expanding TR a little bit further afield. Spoilers. And yeah, definitely look forward to like doing a bit of that, and like being able to, you know, lead a little bit of that from the same wing, if you know what I mean. Like go away from that. It's something I really love having. I love being able to look and see like the students that have come from this gym and what have come from the coaching, and I'm like, wow, like, and I flirted with the idea of being a professional freerunner when I was like 16, and I mean the avenues are still narrow now, and even then it was probably harder. And my mentality even before, like further back than that, is like it's you go to Urban Free Flow, and obviously Urban Free Flow quickly died around my waist to that. It was like, oh, there's the steps, and then when that did all, it was like, where do you go? Where's the route? What is the route of parkour success? We've lost the camera. So obviously want to kind of just wrap things up a little bit. If anyone is intrigued by Callum's like outside things from parkour, especially with the MINDJAM kind of things, we'll put some links below. If you want, is there anything you want to kind of like put out there in that regards? Because it's quite a cool thing that you're doing for people. Yeah, it's a very, very new thing as well, very new company for young people that struggle with things like going to school or socializing with people or like having aspirations in life. And we're somebody that helps them get through that. And help them see that they can go and do things similar to what we do when we're coaching. Like we've got a lot of kids that come in here that, you know, don't believe in themselves, don't believe in their ability, and we're empowering people to be able to, you know, see their value and find the way that they work in the world. And you know, we're not counselors, we're not therapists, but we're somebody that just, you know, we're grown-ups that can be your mate and can help the young people do that. So if anybody has some like a child or like the brother or something like that who is struggling with something like autism or ADHD or anything like that, feel free to get in touch. The link will be in the video, and use our service because that's what we're here for.
I mean, I know it's quite a relatively new company, isn't it? I was blown away at the concept because I was just like, that just seemed so obvious, was just seem so far out at the same time. You know, it's such a simple thing, because it's like, at the end of the day, where do marginalised kids on the spectrum end up? They end up on their own in their bedrooms on computer games. And the fact that, you know, the company you're working for is providing mentorship through those games, rather than those kids just ending up in really quite violent, like Call of Duty, like online chats with, you know, adults wherever, like just throwing abuse and stuff like that. I think it's amazing that they can be using something that they're so into already. You're using that as an in to then start a great, you know, relationship that's going to help them as they develop, as they grow older. So I think that's awesome. If you're interested in following Callum's personal life and his parkour training, it's at Fractcal on Instagram. That's quite hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, Fractcal.
Fractcal.
Yeah.
Again, link will be in the description. So
yeah. So also, anyone who's enjoyed watching this, hit us with some questions or some things you might want to hear us talk about. Some subject matter.
We're looking for like that. Topics for future episodes. Broad topics, could be quite narrow topics. You know, we've got lots of ideas ourselves, but we want to know what people out there are looking for us to talk about, or even guests. You know.
Come on down.
Yeah, right.
Take my seat.
So throw yourselves at us.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Bosh.
Ooh, that's a wrap, baby.